Hi there, this is Aditi and I welcome you all to SkillOholic. In today's lesson, we are going to focus on phrasal verbs. As we all know that phrasal verbs are an integral part of learning English and using them in your conversation adds fluency and naturalness. So what are you waiting for? Let's start today's lesson. We are going to learn 25 such phrasal verbs in this lesson that will keep your conversation going. Let's start. The first one is call off. I use this phrasal verb a lot whenever I cancel something. Yes, you are right. So whenever we want to cancel something, we can use the phrasal verb call off. This means to cancel something. Example, the outdoor meeting was called off due to bad weather. That means it was cancelled. Next example, they called off the meeting at the last minute. Means they cancelled the meeting at the last minute. You see, it's not difficult to use. You just need to have a bit of practice. Next phrasal verb. Whenever you find or discover something unexpectedly, use the phrasal verb come across. So come across means to find or discover something unexpectedly. So you are not waiting for this, believe me. Let's see examples. I came across an old photo album while cleaning the attic. So I was not waiting for the photo album. I didn't know it was there. I just found it and it was unexpected to me. Next one. She came across an interesting article on the internet. Again, that means she found or she just read an interesting article on the internet. She was not waiting for this article. She was not ready. Next up, we have cut down. And after cut down, you need to use the preposition on. This means to reduce the quantity of something. Let me give you an example so that you can understand it better. I need to cut down on sugar for a healthy lifestyle. That means I need to reduce the quantity of using sugar if I want to lead a healthy lifestyle. Next example. The doctor advised him to cut down on smoking. That means the doctor asked him to try and quit smoking, to smoke less. The next one is figure out. Figure out means to understand or solve a problem. Let me give you one example. It took me a while to figure out how this new software works. This means it took me a while to understand the new software. Next one. Can you help me figure out this map problem? That means, can you help me to solve this problem? Let's see what's waiting for us next. Give up. Give up means to stop doing something usually because it's too difficult. You could say, don't give up on your dreams. Keep working towards them. That means doesn't matter how difficult it is, just don't stop. Next one, he gave up smoking after years of trying. That means he quit smoking. He stopped smoking. The sixth one is hangout. Hangout means to spend some time with friends or in a social setting. For instance, let's hang out at the coffee shop this weekend. That means let's spend some time at the coffee shop this weekend. Another one, we used to hang out in the park every Sunday. That means we used to spend some time at the park every Sunday. Next up is keep up with. That means to stay informed or current with something. For instance, you could say, and you see this one is relevant, it's challenging to keep up with the latest technology trends. That means it's really difficult to stay informed about the latest technology trends. A lot of things are coming up nowadays, right? Next one, I try to keep up with the news by reading newspapers. How do you keep up with the news? Do you read newspapers or do you read online articles or you just watch videos? Let me know in the comment section. Let's proceed with the next one. Look forward to. Look forward to means to be excited about an upcoming event or something. That means to anticipate with pleasure or excitement. You could say, I look forward to meeting you in person. This means that I am really excited to meet you in person. Or you could also say, they are looking forward to the upcoming event. That means they are really excited about their upcoming event. Next up, we have makeup. Makeup is not only something that we apply on our face, it has also a different meaning. Let's see what's that. Makeup can also mean to invent or create something or reconcile after an argument. For instance, you could say she likes to make up stories to entertain her friends. That means she likes to create stories for her friends. Or you could also say, after the disagreement, they decided to make up and move on. That means they decided to reconcile after the argument and move on. When you postpone something or delay something, you can use the phrasal verb put off. Put off is when you are not cancelling something, you are just delaying in doing something. For instance, you could say, I had to put off the meeting until next week, so I haven't cancelled the meeting, I'll take it but later. Another one, don't put off studying, exams are just around the corner. That means don't postpone your studies, don't postpone your plans of group studies or something because exams are knocking at the door. Next up, we have run out of. That means to deplete the supply of something. For instance, you could say, we ran out of milk, or you can use any object, so I need to go to the store. For example, you can also say, we ran out of sugar, we ran out of salt, so I need to go to the store. That means it's not there anymore, you have to buy it. Or you could also say, I hope we don't run out of time during the presentation. That means I hope we'll have ample time or enough time for the presentation. Next is set up. Set up means to arrange or establish something. For instance, you could say, they set up a meeting to discuss the project. That means they arranged a meeting to discuss the project. Another one, you could also say, can you help me to set up the new computer? That means, can you help me to arrange or assemble the new computer? Got it? Let's proceed with the next one. When you resemble or inherit traits from a family member, you take after them. So for instance, you could say, she takes after her mother in terms of artistic talent. That means that she got this artistic talent from her mother. Or another one, do you think the children will take after their father? That means, do you think the children will resemble their father or inherit the traits from their father? Have you seen people appearing or arriving somewhere unexpectedly? That's when you can use the phrasal verb turn up. For instance, he turned up at the party without prior notice. That means he arrived at the party unexpectedly. It was surprising for us. Next one, the missing keys finally turned up in the living room. Imagine you all have been searching for keys for a long time and you are not able to find it anywhere, and then surprisingly you saw the keys in the living room. So that's when you use the phrasal verb turn up. Next, when you support or provide assistance to someone, you use the phrasal verb back up. For instance, I'll back you up in the upcoming presentation. Don't worry. Means you have my full support. I'll support you. Always have a backup plan in case things don't go as expected. Backup plan is when you have another plans in case if the current one is not working, you can start working on the second or on the third one. Bring up. This means to introduce or mention a topic in conversation. For instance, he brought up an interesting point during the discussion. That means maybe that was also your question, or maybe you were also worried or concerned about that same thing. So bring up is when someone starts talking about something in a discussion or just bring a topic in a discussion. You could also say, don't bring up the issue now. Let's focus on the main problem. Next up, we have cut off. That means to disconnect or isolate. For instance, I accidentally cut off the call. Can you call back? That means I accidentally disconnected the call. Next one, the town was cut off from the rest of the world due to heavy snow. That means it got isolated from the rest of the world due to heavy snow. Do you also have surprise visits from your friends, often for a short time? So when you visit someone casually and briefly, that is when you use the phrasal verb drop by. For instance, feel free to drop by my office if you have any questions. That means feel free to have a casual or a short visit at my office if you have any questions. Or, we decided to drop by their house for a quick visit. Fall through. This means to fail to happen or be completed. For instance, our plans to go on a trip fell through due to unexpected circumstances. That means we couldn't make it. Second one, the project fell through because of budget constraints. That means we failed to move ahead with the project. Given. This means to surrender or yield to something. For example, After hours of negotiation, they finally gave in to our demands. That means they surrendered. Another one, don't give in to peer pressure. Stick to your principles. That means don't surrender to peer pressures. Stick to your own rules. Next is look up. This means to search for information in a reference source. Examples: if you don't know the meaning, you should look it up in the dictionary. That means you should search the meaning in the dictionary. Next, I'll look up the address on the internet before we leave. That means I'll search the address on the internet. Next is clear up. This means to resolve or become better, often referring to a weather or situation. Example number 1. I'm sure the misunderstanding will clear up once you explain your side. That means I'm sure that it will get resolved or things will get sorted once you explain what you are thinking. Next, the rain is expected to clear up by the afternoon. That means we are here expecting for a good weather. Do away with. This means to eliminate or get rid of something. For example, they decided to do away with the old policies and implement new ones. That means they decided to eliminate the old policies. Or you could also say, it's time to do away with these outdated traditions. That means it's time to get rid of these outdated traditions. When you review or examine something in detail, you use the phrasal verb go over. For example, before the exam, it's important to go over your notes and textbooks. Or let's go over the budget to make sure everything is accounted for. That means let's review the budget once. When you rely on something as a backup or substitute, you use the phrasal verb fall back on. For example, when faced with challenges, he could always fall back on his problem-solving skills. That means he could always rely on his problem-solving skills. Or, it's good to have a savings account to fall back on in times of financial need. Means when you're facing financial crisis, you can always go back to your savings account if you're saving money there, and also you can use it as a backup or as a substitute. You can withdraw money from there and you can get rid of this crisis. Next is rule out. Rule out is when you exclude or eliminate as a possibility. Example, after the investigation, they were able to rule out the foul play. Or you can also say, let's not rule out the option of hiring a professional. That means let's think about it. Let's not eliminate this option. Let's not cross out this option. And last one is bring around. Bring around is when you persuade someone to change their opinion or recover from an illness. For example, it took some convincing, but I managed to bring him around to our point of view. That means, finally, he changed his opinion. Another example, the doctors were able to bring the patient around after a few hours of treatment. That means the patient has recovered from an illness. The doctors were able to recover the patient from an illness. And that's it, guys. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Please share it with your friends. And if you're new to this channel, then please subscribe for more such amazing contents. And if you think that today's lesson was informative, do give it a like and let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll see you soon.